We do a lot of public land hunting, and it's how I grew up. I grew up in the Black Hills, and that's what we did. We hunted thousands and thousands of acres of public land. And as everybody knows, now the game has changed so much, it's become so competitive that you're not only trying to outsmart the animal you're hunting, but you're trying to outsmart the hunters around you. It's kind of an interesting game. Maybe that's why I like it. I get frustrated a lot, but with that being said, you know, there's a lot of great opportunities on public land, and we just love to spend some of our time out there chasing some of those critters. And so let's go chase some mule deer. I drew an archery tag for the area that I'm hunting, and the game plan is no different than any other year. Sometimes can be a little bit frustrating because in the sense of a game plan, there really is no game plan. You just have to keep moving. The key to it, I believe, is there's a lot of deer that will frequent these public land spots, but they don't always live there. And then throw in the fact that another hunter that's on public may bump them, push them off to private. You're constantly moving. There's no really, I would say, any guarantees to any of it. I try to run my Reconyx cameras, and you've got to get crafty with those too, because I've had so many cameras stolen over the years, which is a sad note, but it's a fact. Now, you're not only hiding your cameras from the wildlife, but you're hiding cameras from the other hunters that are bouncing into these public land spots. Unfortunately, this is the third year of a major drought. I mean, we're talking major drought. So water sources have all but dried up. Most of the wildlife are hitting livestock tanks. So if you see cattle in a pasture, there's a good sign there's deer around. I will say that's one of the things that I always look at is, where are they getting their water? They can browse virtually anywhere. Where are they getting their water? And if there's no water sources in the places that you're hunting, you got to go find it. The first thing I do is look for livestock, and 9 times out of 10, that's where the deer are going to be. Now, it's private, right? You can't get in there and put your cameras on the water tanks on the private, so you got to figure out, how are they getting there? Where is the fence crossing? Is there an open gate? Is there a low spot in the fence? What's keeping the cattle in, but is an easy access route for the deer to pass through? A lot of times they take the path of least resistance. That's the first thing I'll look for. So the game plan on this hunt is, we've hunted this area a lot. Don't do a lot of pre-scouting. It just seems, like I said before, the deer move around a bunch. You kind of are hunting what's there at the time. The plan is to get in there, get on some high spots, break out the Burris glass, and start glassing up some country and seeing if we can't pick out a deer that we'd like to hunt. That's first and foremost. If we can't turn up something that way, we'll move. But we're going to go to one of my favorite spots and just get on a high point and start breaking it apart. It didn't take very long, and Julie and I were sitting there, and we turned up a really good deer, a really heavy deer. You could tell he had some extras, but the heat waves were so bad, you really couldn't tell exactly what he was, but you could just tell he was good enough. We knew right out of the gate that this was going to be a deer that I wanted to see if I could get with my bow. The direction that he was moving is a good indication of where he's going to end up and want to bed based on the wind. I always say, a lot of times I think these deer want to get into an area where they're tucked in out of the wind, put the wind at their back, and then they're able to kind of see in front of them and be able to smell what's behind them. When I'm strategizing that aspect of where he's wanting to go, I also need to take into consideration where the sun's going to be, and maybe if it's casting shadows, at what time of the day I'll be able to try to work my way in to see if I can pick him up. So there's a lot of things that go into the open country stuff, especially if you don't have him bedded already. Again, it's a cat and mouse game. You're gonna have to wait to see where he ends up. So get in a position that might give you a chance, but will give you a chance to get out if for some reason he doesn't close the distance and you can't get to him because he ends up maybe just on the other side on private. As it turned out, this deer, as the day progressed, the deer got up and moved down into the draw that works down into the public. Unfortunately, he just didn't get that far. I think it's warm, deer are lazy, it's a bit before the rut, so they're conserving their energy. They're just gonna get into the shade and shade up, and they're just not gonna get to where we're at. I think the best option is to set a trail camera. The hard part's gonna be figuring out where to put it, that someone's not gonna get it. We don't have a tree to hang this Reconyx on. Got this major draw running down through here. I saw that buck about 3/4 of a mile to a mile away. My only play on him right now is in this pasture. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna use this Reconyx screw-in mount, use it as its base of support. Basically gonna shove it up underneath this shelf, stack some rocks around it. Again, one, hide it from the deer, two, hopefully other hunters don't pick it up. And then we're just gonna hope we get a picture or a bunch of pictures of him if he's in here. So the cool part about this is we've got a shadow that's casting over this little ledge right in here. So by the time I get this camera up in there, there should be enough shade to hopefully kind of keep it somewhat hidden. So, all right, we'll build this up and see how it looks. I think best plan, trail camera set, let it do the scouting for us, and then let's come back and revisit it when the rifle traffic slows down. It was hard for me to let that camera sit through the gun season because drive by, checking on some other spots, and you wonder if you should run down there, and it's just like, no, it's like the stock market. I'm just gonna let it ride. Just leave it alone, it'll all work itself out. So I grabbed my stuff and hiked into this spot with the sole intention of checking the Reconyx camera. I had everything with me just in case. If that deer's on the camera, then I'm gonna just stay in and hunt that spot in hopes I can run across this deer. And as I was getting down into the spot, looking for my camera, I'm like, man, this just doesn't look right. And I'm looking up and down the draw, trying to figure out, where did I put the camera at? I don't even see the rock outcropping anymore. All I see is a rock. So as I get closer and I realize, oh, that is the rock, I get to pulling back some of the rocks and stuff. Well, there's my camera. It's laying face up. And I'm like, there's no cattle in this pasture. Like, there's nothing that should have broke that rock and knocked my camera over like that. I hiked up in here. I was gonna go sit up on the other side, up in the cliffs on the other side of this draw. Wanted to come grab the camera. And I got here and I see that it has been knocked over. Not sure what knocked it over, but I'm guessing now I've probably got a bunch of sky images. Unbelievable. As I grabbed the camera, I turned around and started walking, and I just happened to look up, and all I see is antler tips coming through the grass, walking up the draw, his head's down. We're on a path to butt heads. As I grabbed the camera, I turned around and started walking, and I just happened to look up, and all I see is antler tips coming through the grass, walking up the draw, his head's down. We're on a path to butt heads. It's a tank of a mule deer. I mean, one of the biggest bodied, oldest, gnarly looking face, white face, bucks that I've seen in a long time. He's coming, he's about 20 yards out. I throw my bow in front of me, lay down on the ground and just grab my phone. And what do you know, he walks into 5 yards and then he stops and we have a stare down.
Unbelievable. 5 yards. Just came down to pull the camera, thinking I wasn't seeing much sign in here. I was gonna go up to a spot where I could get a better look before I left. He'd have walked right by me. Magnum buck, just cool buck, wow.
I climb up into my little rock outcropping, break out my computer, throw the SD card in the camera, and I'm looking, I'm zipping through. I catch a glimpse of what I think is an antler. I'm like, no way. I look at it again, blow it up. It's a lot of antler. I'm like, it's him. And I got him on camera. And I go to the next one and I've got video of him bouncing across the ditch. Well, what I think he had done, and I don't know, you know how deer are, you wonder sometimes how they see your cameras, literally walked over to the camera. Evidently he must have torn the rocks up with his antlers. I don't know what he did to create the damage, but all I know is I've got pictures of him walking to the camera, his head sweeps down in front of it, and then my camera's upset. This is the spot that I spent some time in earlier in the season. Relatively slow. Had a reconics set up down in here. Got pictures and video of a buck that I had seen about 3/4 of a mile to a mile from here. And once this rut started to kick in, they obviously were traveling through here. When I pulled that camera, I was going to back out of here and ran into just a mega giant, old, huge bodied type deer. I had a 5-yard encounter with him right here in the bottom, right below me. Kind of hoping that buck comes through here. I don't know if that other big deer that I've got reconics video of, if he's even still alive. I'm gonna sit here for a while, see what comes through. The wind is supposed to be blitzing, and I want to try a new spot that's got a lot of break in the topography, so there's a lot of deep draws and a lot of buck brush and stuff like that where these deer will kind of hole up when the wind gets real bad. And I come around this corner and I just happen to look up and I see a deer standing there. I've got a buck up here in the draw. Don't know what he is yet. I just saw him stand up, spin around and lay back down. He's tucked in pretty tight with this wind, so I'm gonna try to move in a little bit closer. I lay my gear on my lap. I kind of just lay back a little bit and I start to inch forward. There's two things to that. One, if you end up getting caught and you can't move or you're pinned down, it's a fairly comfortable position to be in. The other thing that it does is I really feel it's less threatening to them. So my head's at that end, my feet are at this end. If I swapped it around and put my head at that end and my feet back here and I was moving towards him, I would feel more threatened as a predator coming towards him. And it takes a little bit of time but I work my way literally into about 30 yards of him again as he's looking down the draw in my direction.
Tucked in some brush, and he's tucked under some brush as well. We're all trying to stay out of the wind, so.
I'm close enough to shoot him, but I have this like gut feeling he's young, and I don't have to kill a deer just to kill a deer. The downside is it's public land. You don't know if he's gonna make it another year. I mean, there's a lot of variables. The struggle that I have is it goes back to age. You know, I wished he was an older deer. I'd love to shoot him. And I happened to look at my camera and I had 2 minutes left on my battery. I stop, swap the battery out, put the new battery in. Guess what? That battery's dead. It's so cold. I had left my pack in my pickup overnight. I had 2 extra batteries in my pack and took the camera in the house. The 2 batteries in my pack that are out in the pickup are bone dead, and I've got 2 minutes left on the battery that's in my camera. And I tell myself, that's your out. You shoot that deer, you have no way to film a recovery, you have no way to film the rest of the story. That deer gets to walk. And it's like, I'm good with that. So I watch him walk away. I just slipped into 30 yards of a beautiful buck that has no idea I'm here. He's tearing up soap weeds. He's doing his thing. And I'm in his bedroom. I'm in his space. I've already won. And that to me is success. Unfortunately, the story of the double drop tine buck is not going to go the way we had all hoped for myself or any other fair chase hunter on public land. Well, here he is, the double drop tine deer in person. Just a sad way to see him go, like I said before. You know, left him the last day of deer season laying with a bunch of does in the green wheat field. Had another friend that had seen him in February, looked fine. Everybody was anticipating the shed hunt. Then had another friend pick him up in March like this. And boy, you just hate to see him go that way. He was a young deer, had a ton of potential. And again, just a sad deal. But what an amazing buck. I'm extremely fortunate to have had the opportunity to slip in on this deer, spend a little time, document him, and share him with you all. But that's hunting sometimes. It doesn't always go the way we hope.